and we are diluting the digestive enzymes, so they don't work. They become, it's like trying to wash a soap, and then there are some things in the environment that we cannot control. That is why you need to detoxify. Just like you do your motor, you detoxify your car, you change the engine oil. Do you see how black it is? You need to do that with your body annually. Very important. So that is concerning the Mart Life Detox Clinic, which is one of the centers that we control. We've also found that in ourselves, in our center. And WHO, as a result of our own report, has now made it mandatory that having a child for a woman is like when you expect an august visitor in your house. What do you do when somebody is coming to visit you? You clean up, especially the bedroom that is going to stay. You clean it up, you make sure everything is ready. So, a creation of the Almighty is coming to visit you. You need to make sure there's no malaria in your body. Your body is ready. And if the visitor finds the house nice, not only will he or she stay, he will extend the... But if the environment is not nice, he will say, oh, they are calling me back in, I have to go back to where I'm coming from. And that happens with the baby.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Oge, you want to take yours, and then we'll go to Bernard.
Thank you very much for the questions. And the first one says here, the social media have abused medical information. Is it true that cancer is caused by the deficiency of vitamin B17? So I think we're all aware of the role of social media now in all aspects of life. I don't know what we did before WhatsApp, before Facebook, Instagram, and all that. There's such a widespread of information, and it's not a bad thing. But the downside is, how do you control the information out there? I keep getting people sending me messages, asking me, oh, I heard this, I heard that, is it true? And the difficulty is the information out there is so much more than you can even give an answer to. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's abused medical information. I think what it's happening is there's a lot of information that's not substantiated out there, and people don't have any way of actually getting the answers and, finding out whether this is true. What I would always advise people to do is, if you hear anything that you're not sure of, speak to your medical provider, speak to your doctor, run things through, especially if you also have medical conditions that you need to be under a doctor. Because what happens is people say, oh, I heard that this helps with my diabetes, I hear that this helps with my hypertension, and without speaking to someone who's already managing you, you find that people begin to take things that shouldn't actually be taken, and then you come back to the doctor or to the nurse in a crisis. So as much as possible, when you hear things on your Facebook, Instagram, whatever, go back to someone that you trust, someone who knows you well, and say, this is what I've heard, is it true? We don't always have all the answers. There are so many things I don't have answers for in terms of what is out there, but what we can do is help drive the process of trying to find out and getting back to you. So the next question, which I think is also would probably be a combined one with Prof, actually has to do with polycystic ovarian syndrome and weight management, and where can you get a good help for this condition? So this is a common condition in a lot of women in their 20s, 30s. Probably 1 in every 10 women would have polycystic ovarian syndrome, or ovarian disease, and it's a condition where you have a combination of reproductive hormonal imbalance and metabolic imbalance. So what simply really is all those hormones that help you with ovulation are out of sync. You have what we call a higher androgen level, which is really the male hormone. So everything is out of whack. You also have an involvement with high insulin. Insulin helps with, you hear about insulin in relation to diabetes, and normally in a normal level, there's no problem, but when you have very high levels, then you go on to develop what's called high insulin resistance. And what then results is, normally, it's not harmful in the sense that the person is ill, but you notice that there are a few signs in relation to someone who has the syndrome. One of the most important ones you notice is being overweight. It's associated with weight, overweight, and that probably is linked to the insulin resistance, which can lead to type 2 diabetes much later on. You also notice that the individual tends to have very irregular periods because the hormone effect on the ovaries means that actually sometimes the eggs are not actually produced, you don't ovulate. That's actually the first one most women will go to their doctors to complain about. They wouldn't say, oh, I'm overweight, oh, I have acne, I have pimples. What they tend to go is, oh, I haven't seen my period, or in Prof's case, I haven't been able to conceive, because there is a link to infertility as well.
I hope you are learning a lot. I am. Over to you, Obina.
The first one is whether the HMO covers pre-existing conditions. The answer is yes, some of the time, and no, sometimes. Yes, because it's a function of the plan that, yes, because it's a function of the plan that you buy. So you might buy a plan that says categorically that it covers or does not cover pre-existing conditions. And sometimes it's not about whether it does, it just requires you to disclose so they can plan. So it's important to read what you're given, and it's important to ask specifically what the plan covers. You should note that if you buy a plan that covers pre-existing conditions, it'll be more expensive than a plan that doesn't. So if you know you have pre-existing conditions and a friend of yours has nothing, and both of you are paying the same price for independently purchased plans, read your own well, especially if you disclose that you had pre-existing conditions, because those things are priced into the plan. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a secret. In fact, it's in your best interest to disclose that you have pre-existing conditions, because if you don't do so and pretend that because it wasn't asked of you and all, when you get to the point of payment, the insurance company in the fine line, all right, they can actually deny the claim because they would say that it was information which you knew, which you, if you had told them, would have changed their decision making. And that's actually, when you think about it from a legal perspective, that's insurance fraud. So you should actually make sure that you ask the question clearly about pre-existing conditions. The second question was whether somebody who is not covered or the organization wouldn't cover you, can you buy a plan by yourself? The answer is yes. Again, it's a function of the entity that you go to. So, for example, I said earlier that we are focused on making sure there's healthcare for everyone. So anyone can walk in off the street or go online to our website and you can purchase a plan for you as an individual, for a family, and even if you wanted to give away plans free to other people, you can do so. There's a bulk plan that you can actually give to people that you would like to help and all that. So it's available.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the question and answer and almost to the end of the program. I think it's just for me to invite Uzo to say a few things, and we will go back to our seats. And I think Prof needs to leave, so one or two of our guests may leave. But a round of applause for this wonderful panel of speakers. Thank you very much.
We just want to thank every member of the expert panel. I call them expert, and it's not just a word. You just had a little taste of all the knowledge they have. Talk to them at the end as well. Get some information from them. I'm sure that some of us have questions we're not able to ask, and a lot of the things that were said today generated even more inquiries. Some of us have private conditions that we also want to address as well. They are available to you, and like I said, this is recorded. We're going to put it out there because there's so much information that was put out there that I think more people need to know. But I just want to say thank you very, very much on behalf of the network. I want to say thank you for giving us your time, very, very precious time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us, and we appreciate it. Thank you, and God bless you. Please, a round of applause. Thank you very much. So we'd like to take say the closing prayer. Let's all bow our heads. In Jesus' name. Dear Lord God, we thank you so much. Thank you, Father, Lord God. We bless you. We exalt you. For in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let's just share the grace together in fellowship. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit rest and abide with us now and forevermore. In Jesus' name. And this part of the prayer I love, especially after this particular series. Surely, goodness and mercies follow us all the days of our lives as we dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming. We have free health checks from two reputable health organizations. Please go out there. We have Healthcare Plus. We have Chike Okoli Foundation. Go and check that your blood pressure and your weight and your heart rate is fine. So go and take advantage of the free services.